Alrighty guys, I can't get my camera to face me right now, so we're just gonna go with my hands and my desk. So welcome. This is my part 2 of the March day, what is it called? Daisy Daydreams Paper Pumpkin Alternative. So earlier today I did the first 3 cards, and so now I'm gonna do the last 3 cards. And let me just see if I can get this to switch around really quick. Hold on. There we go. Got it. Yay. Sorry about that. Technical issues as always. So anyway, I'm going to go through the next 3, and let me just put up my information. If you guys have any questions or you need to reach out to me, there's all of my information. If anyone is looking for a demonstrator and would like a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can place any orders with me and using that hostess code right there. Also, if you would like to join my team, I would love to have more team members. We do a lot of fun in my team, and I try to teach and guide and direct you for teaching you different techniques and having fun. The most important thing about Stampin' Up! Is to enjoy the products that you have, to use the products that you have, and to be able to sit down and do that creative process that I think we all need in our lives. So anyway, there's all the information to reach out to me. Also, if after watching this you decide that Paper Pumpkin is your thing, there is a link in the description where you can click and subscribe to Paper Pumpkin. So let's get started. Okay, so I am on my number 4, and so for this one, I'm just going to tell you what all I used. So you're going to need a scrap of basic black, and you are going to need one of the daisy, I call these the branches. You're also going to need one of the little flowers. You're going to need this, this is the ticket edge, again, because it has this little etching, or this little notch right here. I call this the ticket one. So that's the one that we're using for this one. You're going to need the other half of this card. So in my first video, this is the card that has all the daisies on one side, and so we cut it in half, and I use the daisy side in the first part of the in the first video. And then you're going to need a card base that is basic black, that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then you'll need a basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm looking to see if I did cut this down. I'm pretty sure I did. Yes, so we're gonna cut this down. So let me move this stuff over here to the right. Bring my cutter in, and I actually want to cut on the side that has a lot of the hives. So I'm gonna cut my 4 because this little strip we're fixing to use on the inside of the card. So we're going to grab this strip and we're going to hold on to that and set that over there. And then I'm going to turn it. So that was my 4, and this is going to be 5 1/4. All right. All right, so let's get our stamping done, and then we're going to have some die cutting to do as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp onto our label, which is right here. And this time I am using the stamp that says, "Thank you for always being there for me." So we're going to use black memento ink. We're going to ink that up. Then we are going to stamp that right in the center. All right, there you go. And then, and actually guys, I think that's all the stamping that we're doing on this one. Because like I said, I don't stamp the inside of my thank you cards. That is totally up to you, how you want to proceed with that. But there's plenty of sentiments in this stamp set. Or if you have another sentiment that you want to put in the middle, that would be great. Let's go ahead and get the inside put together though. This strip that I told you we're going to need, we're going to run this across this bottom edge, and I am just going to take some liquid glue. This is our Tombow glue. I've just put it in a different container so it comes out thinner. It doesn't come out in like huge big blobs. And then I'm just going to lay this down across that bottom edge, and it's going to be longer than what we need. And then I always turn it over to make sure I don't have anything coming off the top here. So this is just going to go across the bottom there. And you notice I rub my hand down it a couple of times. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut that long edge off. Also, if you guys are, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Julie Brown. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I don't think I even did that in the first one. So there we go. There's this across that side right there. That's so funny that I didn't introduce myself. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to use, so with our paper pumpkins for every quarter, so these were the dies that coordinated with the January, February, and March paper pumpkins. So we're going to be using this little bee. Now notice, anytime you guys see my dies, you see these magnets. I put these in here. None of our dies come with these magnets. I need to put that disclaimer in because I had one of my team members that called me and said, you know what, I ordered those dies and they didn't include the magnet in the inside. And I said, well, that's because they don't come with the magnets. I put the magnets in there. So I put all my dies on magnets so I don't lose them. All right, so let's switch over to our die cutting section. And obviously I could use the little one, but since I have my big one set up, what we're going to do is we're going to cut out 3 of these detailed bees. Let me move this forward a little bit. So I'm just going to run this through 3 times, and we're going to cut out 3 of those bees. And again, these dies that I showed you, these are what we call add-ons. So anytime you get, as long as you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you can get the die add-on. And the ones that I'm showing you right now were the ones that were for the January, February, and March paper pumpkins. You can still get them, I believe. Sometimes the dies sell out and you can't get them, and sometimes you can. And then just so you know, the next set is already available to purchase. So there is a new set of dies that are going to match the April, May, and June ones. So just make sure you're always looking, you know, you go into your paper pumpkin section, and it'll tell you that there are, sometimes you can get refills of the kits, and pretty much what the refills are is the refill is just them refilling all of the like paper products, the die cuts, the die cuts, like the flowers and stuff. You don't get the stamp set again. Let's get back over here. You don't get the stamp set again, but you do get like everything you need to make the cards, besides the stamp set. And you don't get an ink spot again. Okay, so there's my 3 bees. And just in case you guys wanted to know the name of this, it was called Spring is in the Air. And again, it had all of these dies that coordinated with those, with the first 3 months of paper pumpkin. It's called Spring is in the Air dies. All right, let me just put that over to the side. Okay. So now let's start putting this. Oh, I should show you the card. This is the card we're making. All right. So let's get this put together. Again, if you guys are on with me and you're live with me and you have any questions about anything that I'm doing, you can type them in the comments, and they usually do pop up. But, you know, I'm not going to promise because Facebook's been a little sketchy lately. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on here, and then we're going to build it as it's on the card front. So I'm just using my Stampin' Seal Plus here. Hopefully, I was just going to say, hopefully I have enough to get me through. And it literally just ran out as I was starting to say that. So hold on 1 second. Let me grab a replacement. That's too funny. All right, so our refills come in a bag like this, and you just tear it open, and then you just stick it right back in this little case, if you can get it open. Okay, come on, you can do it. Wow, that one didn't want to open. Oops. All right, so just a note, if you look here, you'll see that this has a little notch right there. You want to make sure that that notch gets on one of these little posts right there when you're putting that back in there. So you just set it in there like that and close the lid, and then you're ready to go. So here we go. All right. So we're going to stick this on like so. Now, some people prefer to build their card front not on the card. And it really is totally up to you which way you want to do it. So we're going to set this first. The next thing that's going to go on is this flower right here. And again, I'm bringing in the liquid glue to put this where it goes. And again, like I said, guys, if you have any questions, type them in if you're live. This class is actually the class I teach. I have for my team and my Paper Pumpkin subscribers. And so I'm doing the videos so that those that miss the class can still do the alternatives. So that's going to go right there. Then we're going to bring in, I keep calling this my daisy branch. We're going to bring in a daisy branch, and it is going to go across the bottom down here. Like I said, this kit just it has so many pieces and parts. And I have seen so many different versions of alternatives for this one that, you know, you guys can be making cards for days with this, because it's a wonderful kit. And so this is just going to sit down here like so. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment next, and I'm going to pop it up, and you'll see why in a second. But I'm going to bring in dimensionals. And again, you guys should have gotten dimensionals in your kit. They don't look like this particular page because I just didn't grab my dimensionals from the kit. Actually, I misplaced them. I've got to find them, because when I was getting this all ready for my class on Thursday, that I had on Thursday for the alternative class, I had pulled them out of my box and set them down somewhere safe. And you know how that goes. Anytime you put something away safe, so that, you know, it's safe, it's so safe that I don't know where it is. All right. So there's that. Now, it probably would have been wise for me to put the adhesive strips on the back of these, but I didn't. Oh, I remember why I didn't, because of the next step that we're going to take. I love the adhesive strips, but there are times like this when you don't want to do it, and I'll explain that in just a second, what I found. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these little bees, and we're going to lay it right there. And then we're going to take the next one. I can pick it up. And again, I'm just getting just the little bits of glue at the what I consider the important junctions, the areas that I want to make sure don't get pulled up. And we're going to put this little bee going this way down here. And then this is our next bee. I'm going to try to hold on to one of those little antennas and get my glue on. And this one is going to be right here. Okay, the reason I didn't put adhesive sheets on this is because I decided that instead of, like, you could have cut 3 black bees, and then you could have cut 3 crushed curry bees, and then you could have filled in the centers. Like, you could have saved all these little pieces that cut out, and then you could have filled it back in, like, you know, trading back and forth between the 2 pieces. I decided I wanted to use my Stampin' Write marker, and color this in. So when you use the adhesive strips, sometimes you'll get that adhesive strip that kind of stays, you know, you can kind of see it a little bit, but it actually kind of comes out a little bit. And so the first time I tried it with adhesive strips and tried to color it, it was difficult because some of that adhesive strip had kind of gone past where the line, you know, so like it came out here a little bit and here a little bit, and it made it harder to color. So I just decided I wasn't going to do that. So then basically you just take your brush and tip with your crushed curry, and you're just going to color in the body of the bees. So I thought this was a fun little way to, you know, do this, is just bring our Stampin' Write markers in and color it in. Now you could probably do it with the blends. It probably would have worked. I just like the Stampin' Write markers because I feel like they're a little more solid. And that's kind of weird saying that. I just feel like, you know, the color is maybe a little bit darker, or there's just something different between the markers and the blends. And I liked the look of the marker better than I liked the look of the blend. But if you don't have the markers, then by all means use your blends. All right, so we've got that put together, and then all we have left is to put the inside in. So that one was a super quick and easy card. So we're just gonna, and then I always check and make sure, okay, this is my top. And then I'm gonna bring this in down here. And lay that in. And like I said, with my thank you cards, I don't put anything on the inside. So for me, this one is this one's done until I'm ready to write something in it. But what do you guys think? There is, for me, this is card number 4 because I already showed the first 3 cards. So there's a different version for that card right there. All right, so let me grab number 5. And like I said, you might be starting this going, hey, there was only one before this and you're already on number 5. Again, that's because I did a video previous. Okay, so for this one, we're going to be cutting up this envelope. And so I'm going to do that with you so that you see how I cut this. And so like I showed you in the first video, I always cut just a smidge off the end. So I'm just going to cut on this right side, just a little smidge off that end. And then I'm going to turn it and do the same thing, on the other side. Okay, I just want a little smidge. And the reason you cut that off is because it allows you to open this up just like this. So now I'm going to go, and I'm going to go just above this score line, just like that. And you can save this for using for something later. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm actually going to cut it on the score line of the flap. And we are going to be using the flap in our next card. So don't get rid of your flap. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. All right, and then this card is going to be a 4 by 5 1/4. So I want to make sure my flower is on this side when I'm cutting my 4. So there's my 4. And then I'm going to save that piece right there. And then I'm going to turn it again, making sure my flower is not close to where I'm cutting it. And then I'm going to do the 5 1/4. Just like that. And the layout for this card I saw on Pinterest, and I went back to try to find it, and I couldn't find it. But I think I also saw it on the demonstrator site. She did hers quite different, but I liked this whole diagonal cut was the idea that I got from her. So we're going to cut that in half. We're going to be using this bottom half. The top half you can use for another card, but we're going to be using this one. And then I also have, let me just get these pieces out of the way, or my cutting board out of the way. So we've got this from the kit, and then you're also going to need this green piece from the kit. You want the little label that is like squared on the end, or I guess I should say straight. You're going to need one of the large flowers or flower top. And then I took another 4x5 1/4 basic white piece and I cut the diagonal as well, but you want to keep this side. Okay, so it's going to kind of go together like that. And then something that is not here that we're going to need is a, I think it's like a 3.5 by 3.5. You're going to need a 3.5 by 3.5 Lost Lagoon piece. I'm just going to use this big piece because this is what I have. And then you're going to need a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 crumb cake, and then a 4 by 5 1/4 basic white piece. All right, so we're going to go to the die cut machine, and we're going to actually emboss this piece, and we're going to die cut a circle out of this. And so let's switch back over there. And I'm going to do the embossing. Well, no, I've got the die set up here, so I'll do the dies first. I just don't remember which size I used. So hold on. I think it was the biggest circle, and I think I'm right. I think it's this one. So it's the largest stitch circle from the Stylish Shapes dies. So this is the die set that I'm using, and it is the Stylish Shaped dies, and they've got stitching all around them. And you guys all know, anyone who knows me knows I love the stitching. So now we're going to put this on, and we're going to cut this. So for those of you that have the kits that I sent, or that someone picked up for you, or that someone sent you, your Lost Lagoon piece was not this big, okay? But it does need to be big enough to cut with the largest die. Then what we're going to do is we are going to emboss our white piece. Now it's really important that you remember what direction this needs to go. And so if you need to bring your other piece in to say, okay, they're going to fit together like this, so I need it embossed on this side. Well, the way I do it is if I want the embossing to come from the bottom up, I make sure that my little Stampin' Up symbol is face up. So now we're going to stick this in here. Now this is a 3D folder, so I'm using base 1 and then base number 4. And we're going to run that through. And I am using the Eyelet 3D embossing folder. If you don't have the Eyelet 3D embossing folder, then grab one that you like. Grab one of your favorite embossing folders and do that same technique. All right, so now let's move back over here, and we are going to start putting this together. Did I tell you that we're using a Lost Lagoon base? I don't know if I told you that. So of course this was 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And now we're going to start building this. So you need your crumb cake piece, and then you need to start with this flower piece, and you're just going to kind of set these on here, and then we're going to add that embossed piece, and you're just going to kind of set it so that it, you know, you've got that edging that you're looking for. So the way I did it was I kind of left one on while I was putting the adhesive on the other one. Now you are watching me use Stampin' Seal Plus, but I am going to go in on these two tips, and I am going to add some liquid glue here and on this side over here. Okie doke. Alrighty, so here we go. And we're gonna lay this down, and I'm not gonna like push it solidly down until I kind of look at this one and make sure I like the positioning. So I do, so I'm good here. Now this one, because it's embossed, and I know you guys have heard me say this before, I like to use liquid glue on the back of my embossed pieces because it has all those rivers and valleys from the embossed image. And I want to make sure that the glue has a chance to get in any of those crevices that it might need to hold. So now we're just going to take this and we're just going to push that right up flush. Just like that. Okay, so it looks like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on my card front because the next couple of, there's a couple pieces that are going to be put on with dimensionals, and I don't like having dimensionals on this and then try to turn it over and put glue on the back to get it on there. So because I know I don't need to wrap anything around this, there's nothing else I really need to do as far as with the rest of this piece, I feel like I can go ahead and set that in place. Okay? And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our green circle, if and when I can find it, and we are going to put that right in the middle of this. And again, guys, I wish I could remember the demonstrator's name that this middle piece, this is what she did as well. I can't remember. I don't think she used these colors. She might have. And I don't think she used this piece here. But I just liked the layout, and she also had it this way. But I did like her layout. I guess that you could call it her sketch. I liked her sketch. And I'm so sorry if you see this and I have forgotten your name, but it was a super cute card. All right, so the next thing we want to do is go ahead and adhere this on here. And again, I'm just using liquid glue. I want this part to be flat. You know, a lot of us with Stampin' Up, we get ideas from each other. A lot of demonstrators, even the demonstrators that have been around for many years, they'll see a fun folder. They'll see a really cool card that someone else makes, and we call it yeah, I can't think of the name now. Oh my goodness. Casing. They case it. So basically casing means that, you know, we're just taking the card and we're looking at it and we're making a few changes to it and we're making it our own. So that's going to fit there. You saw me, you know, get those petals turned. So I'm just going to put one dimensional. Now, if you're going to put this in the mail, I am going to suggest that you put more than just the dimensional in the middle. I would maybe put some, you know, really close to the inside, but on these edges to help hold that in place so that if it goes through the roller at the, at the post office, it won't smash those petals down. Okay, so that's going to go right there. And then I'm going to bring in our little banner and we're going to stamp happy birthday when I find it. And we are going to use the Lost Lagoon ink here. Okay, so we're just going to do happy birthday. And I kind of want to stamp this more to the left than the right side because I want to wrap some thread around the right side. You know what? I've got to move this off of this because I really can't see. I couldn't see exactly where that was because it was, and I did that kind of high, but that's okay. It'll live. We shall live through this. All right, let's clean that off. And then I'm going to take some linen thread, and I think it was about 7 inches. All right, where's my linen thread? Right in front of me. I bet it drives you guys crazy when I'm like, where's this? And you guys can actually see it on the screen. And you're like, it's right there. I see it. But of course, I can't hear you. So I don't know that. Okay, so yeah, I think just a little bit there. Let me cut that. And it's probably longer than I need, but I like to give myself a little bit of wiggle room with my thread. And so basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to leave quite a bit down here. And then I'm just going to kind of wrap this around. Now, one of the tricks that I found is that if you take some Stampin' Seal or a mini glue dot and you put it on the back, then as you're wrapping it, it'll kind of stay in place for you, which makes it a little bit easier. So basically, I'm just going to take this, and I want them to be pretty close to each other here. And so I'm just going to keep wrapping until I get to a point where I'm like, okay, now I have just enough left, or probably more than I need, but I'm going to tie my knot at this point. And I want my knot to kind of be down here in the center. So I'm going to kind of pull that back down. And then I'm going to tie it again. Let me turn it. And I'm going to just tie that one more time and then get it really nice and snug on there. Okay. But by putting that Stampin' Seal on the back, it's going to hold this in place even if I was a little loose on that. Now this one had some little stragglers right here. So I'm just going to cut those, and then I'll cut that down the way I want it once I get it on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I am going to stick that right on there. I don't feel like I have to put a dimensional on this side because this thread is kind of holding it up enough to make it nice and level. So now all I'm going to do is come in, and then I'm actually going to put some glue on the thread so that it holds itself in place. And then I'm going to kind of put this about right here and try to get that to lay down straight. Just like so. And then I'm going to snip that and that. And if you don't like that this is kind of moving around, you could put, like, it's kind of moving more than I want. So I'm going to put a little dot of glue right there and then kind of push that down so that it stays right there. And then the last thing we're going to do, I don't think I have them sitting here, but I'm going to bring in some of our little pearls, and we're going to add some pearls to the front of this. And I don't know, yeah, here we go. I had to find one that had several in there. All right, so I'm going to use my putty end. Oh, I'm almost out, I think, so I'm not sure if this is going to work, of my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm just going to pick up some of these, and so I'm just going to randomly put them, like I'm going to put one there, and then one here, and then one like right there, and then I'm actually going to put two on my little, so I want to put like one right there, and let's see, maybe, I don't know, where do I want to put the other one? Do I want to put it, maybe one right there, there. All right, so that's the front of the card. For the inside of the card, we're going to take this long strip here, and we're going to run that along the bottom. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my Enjoy Your Day. And the reason I'm stamping first is because just in case I mess it up, I can turn this over, right? We always have 2 tries, because we can always turn it over. But if I had already put that strip on the bottom, I really couldn't turn it over. So now we're going to take this. Let me get this straight here. And we're going to come in here and we're going to put enjoy your special day. And then we're going to take this and go along the bottom edge. And then I've got to pull one of the little, like the little flower tops, but it's the little one that's like a half of the flower. So you're going to need that for this one as well. And then I'm going to take this and we're just going to lay this down right across that edge. I like to use all these little strips that you end up cutting off because I think it just helps. I mean, you know, obviously it matches, right? So we already know it matches. So it's just kind of a good way to put a little more decoration on the inside of the card. And then let me grab, because I didn't pull it earlier, but I need one of those small flowers. It's the smallest half flower top is what I'm looking for. So it's this one right here. And so I'm just going to glue that right to that bottom corner as well. And again, I just think this is just a, you know, fun way to decorate the inside. So what's great about, if you guys have never seen Paper Pumpkin, what's great about Paper Pumpkin is they come in these boxes, right? So Paper Pumpkin comes in a box and it has everything that you need to make the cards that are in here. And it actually gives you directions. Let me see if I can find the directions. It gives you the directions to make the cards that they want. And then I do these, and a lot of demonstrators do these alternative cards to show you how to, you know, because basically here you're going to get 3 of each card. That's 9 cards. And when we start showing you guys alternatives, it's ways to stretch this box so that you end up with a lot more cards. So that's kind of where the concept of the alternative cards came from. Sometimes it came from the fact that someone didn't like the design of the cards in the Paper Pumpkin, and so they're like, I'm going to make my own, which is fine too. If that's the only reason you're doing it, is because it wasn't your favorite kit. But one of the fun things about Paper Pumpkin is it is a monthly subscription, so the box comes every single month, and it's a surprise. We don't always know what's going to be in it, and so it is a surprise when we get it. Now, Stampin' Up! Also sells other kits that you can go to their online store. You can go to my online store and their online store, and you can just purchase kits, and then you can see what they are before you purchase them. All right, so there is card number 5. So I hope this is a fun idea for you. And then the inside, enjoy your special day. All right, we are done with number 5. So we are moving on to our last card. And for this card, what we're going to do is we are going to cut another card base. And so like I have shown you guys, this is the 6th card. And I literally cut apart 2 card bases and 2 envelopes. Granted, I added some other cardstock and stuff, but I just want to show you what the potential of this is. And there's how many other card bases still sitting in there that can be cut in half and fun things done with. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this at 4 because that's the size that I need. And yes, it leaves this little strip here, but that's fine. So I'm going to cut it at 4 by 5 1/4. All right, so we need that. And then remember the envelope flap that I told you to keep. And so we're going to use that. You need a thick basic white card base for this one. And then you need the flower. Oh my gosh, I can't get this to, sorry, I got to use my take your pick tool to get that. It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom of the box and it wouldn't come out, so I needed to use my putty to get a hold of that. Oh, the bee's probably going to do the same thing. Look at that. Take your pick tool, pick up those little pieces. And then I also brought in this ribbon. I believe this is retired now. It was one of my favorite ribbons, but it's Lost Lagoon. All right. So for this card, what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping first. So let's get the sentiment stamped first. And like I said before, I think I can just move that now. I need to move this so I can actually see the white. And I wanted to put sweetest birthday wishes. And we're going to use Lost Lagoon ink. And I'm using the ink spot that came in the kit. And then we're just going to get that stamped right in the center. Just like that. So there's that. And then what I wanted to do was this little daisy that's it's meant to go in corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up with the Lost Lagoon, and I am going to stamp this in each of the corners. And I am going to take my time doing this because I want it to be like straight and I want it to look correct when I do this. All right, so there's that. And so I'm going to end up inking this up 4 times because we've got 4 corners. And then now I'm working on this corner. And again, I'm taking my time and get it lined up. So there's that corner. And we're going to do this in all 4 of the corners. So even if you guys have already made your paper pumpkins and you like these cards, you could also order the refills if you wanted to make some of these, or just use the pieces and parts that you still have. You may still have, some of it left over. Oh. Nice thing about photopolymer is when you mess it up, you can restamp it. But like I said, if you're seeing a bunch of like designs that you're like, oh, I wish I had done that, or, oh, you guys can get the refills and you can make some of these designs that all of us are showing. Okay, there you go. So now I've got them in all 4 of my corners. Let me clean this. And then what I'm going to do, I'm not going to put this on the card front yet because this is one of those cases where I'm going to be wrapping ribbon. But I need to get all of my pieces and what just happened to my flower. Oh, it's blended in. Okay, so now I'm going to take this flower and I'm going to put it right in the center. Again, like I told you, these are pretty quick and easy cards, even though we have they're obviously quick and easy if you follow Stampin' Up instructions, but I also wanted to give you some quick and easy. So we're going to take our flower and we're going to center it. What just happened? Oh, this little piece. All right, that kind of made a mess. So when that dries, I'll probably come in with I have a little glue eraser that allows me to take off any glue that and I'll do that after it dries. So we're going to lay that down. Then we're going to come in with this Lost Lagoon piece and we're going to wrap this around kind of like that. So I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal Plus and wrap that around. And as usual, I cut more ribbon than I need. But we're going to wrap that around that way. Go across this over here. Wrap it around. Cut this off on this end. And now I'm ready to put this on my card front. Now remember, we still have this to work with. But let me just go ahead and finish going around it with my Stampin' Seal Plus. And we're going to pop that right there. Like so. Then we're going to take our little bee, and our bee is going to go on here as well. I love these little bees. They are so stinking cute. So here's my little bee. And he's going to go right there. I'm going to come back here and do some embellishments in a second. But I also want to show you, so when I put a sentiment over a ribbon, I basically try to straddle it, because if you try to put like your dimensionals on this and then stick it down, this ends up moving a lot. So what I do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab my dimensionals, and I'm basically just gonna go, it's actually, this works better with the, yeah, it works better with the mini dimensionals because it allows me to cut this whole strip here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in and I'm gonna cut a very thin strip. Now we also have foam strips, and if you have those would be great for this as well, because then you don't have to cut. But I just cut myself a nice little long strip, and I'm going to put it across the top edge up here. And I went a little too far. But that's fine, because I can use this one down here. Because I'm trying to leave a little alleyway for that ribbon to nest right up in that section. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to have to go this way. And let me cut another little piece like so. And that's going to go in there. Whoops. Almost lost my scissors. All right, that's going to lay just like that. And then when I pull off these little tabs, or the paper, I don't know where tabs came from, then this will straddle now. It's going to straddle. That ribbon can go right between, but then it's going to, you know, still pop it up, but it's going to keep it level. Okay, if that made any sense. Okay, again, I'm going to come back and decorate the front, but now I do not normally just stamp inside of a thick basic white. I usually put a matte and then another piece of white, because that's just my preference. But when I got this idea, I thought this is going to be so cute. So for this one, I am going to just stamp right on this. And for that sentiment, we're going to put probably, let's see, what are my choices? Sweetest birthday wishes is what I put on the front. And I think we'll just do that enjoy your special day for this one. Or what's this one? Oh, no. Okay, so I'm just going to take this, ink it up. I want to go ahead and get this in here. Now, because this likes to do this whole thing, I actually will kind of get this straight and like make it stay flat while I'm stamping. And so we're going to come in here and we're going to do that enjoy your special day. There you go. I'll clean that stamp in a second. And then what I'm going to do for this inside piece is I am going to, it's either people's favorite word or worst favorite word. I am going to fussy cut around this, and then I'm going to mount it on the bottom down here. So fussy cutting just means that you're cutting around the image, but not right on the lines. You're kind of leaving a little edge. And it's a lot easier to fussy cut than it is to cut, for me anyway. It's a lot easier to fussy cut than to cut right on the lines. And so the trick I've learned with fussy cutting is, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's my left hand that is actually guiding where I'm cutting. So I'm turning all this with my left hand, and it's actually what's guiding where my scissors are cutting. And I'm just holding my scissors pretty steady here. And then I'm just turning it with my left hand and just allowing my scissors to cut where my left hand is guiding it to cut. So hopefully that makes sense. So I've always, this was just the easiest way I've learned to do it. I tried, doing the whole cut, keep moving my scissors in my right hand and trying to get it to go around everything. But I find if I just hold my right hand pretty still, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off just because that's going to make going around that corner a little bit easier. If I hold my right hand pretty still and I allow my left hand to dictate where I'm cutting, that fussy cutting isn't that hard. I used to dread it. I used to just, you guys, some of you guys have heard me tell the story of when I was little, I loved paper dolls. But what I hated about paper dolls was when my mom got me the ones that I had to cut out. If I punched them out, I loved them, because they basically kind of had those perforated edges where you could just kind of like our die cuts where you just kind of punch them out of the sheet. And so I loved those. But when she got me ones that I had to cut out all the clothes, cut out the paper doll, oh my gosh, I didn't like it. And half the time I ended up not even cutting them out because I hated cutting that much. All right, you could save these pieces if you want to. I'm not, because I'm sure you could stamp stuff in them. So now the trick to this is, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of place it where I want it, but you're going to have to go down past the bottom edge because this is curved. It's not a straight edge. Now you could cut that ahead of time, but I just found it easier to, I want this center flower centered. And so I found it easier to just kind of do this. And let's push it this way just a little bit. And then again, come in with some of my Post-it note like that. Okay. Then I can go ahead and trim these pieces. And I'm not as concerned about the bottom as I am these end pieces. So I'm going to turn this the opposite direction. And I'm going to get rid of this end. Then I'm going to glue it in place and push it down. And then once it's glued in place, I'll trim that bottom edge. And so basically all I have to do, because I have that Post-it note holding it where I want it, now all I have to do is come in. Look at that little cheater thing. Because the Post-it note just held it, it's holding it in place. So I'm just going to turn it face down, add my glue, bring it back down, and it should be perfectly lined up with where I wanted it. So that's kind of a little trick with the Post-it note or washi tape, whatever you want to do to hold that in place. And so this is going to go along this bottom edge. And now I'm just going to turn this over. I'm going to bring in I have a blue pair of scissors that I like to use rather than my normal cutting scissors when there's wet glue. I do clean these later, but it doesn't bother me as much to get the glue on these as the ones that I use for cutting all the time. Now I can see that I have one little edge over here that I'm going to trim. And then I noticed some glue came out up here. And I'm just going to use my glue eraser. But, I mean, look how cute that is for the inside. Just cutting that off the envelope and sticking that down there. How cute is that? All right, so now let's finish up the front. Now I did bring in some of my retired gems for this one because they were one of my favorite gems. I loved using them, and then they retired them. And let me see if I can find them. I thought, where did I put them? All right, hold on one hot second. It's like, oh, emergency. Where did the gems go? I keep moving stuff around, and I've probably buried them somewhere. But give me a hot second to look for them. If not, I may end up using something different. What the heck? What did I do with those? Oh, they're right there. I had kind of leaned them forward. So these were the 2023-2024 in color dots. These were some of my favorite dots because they don't stick up really high. And so I really, really like that. And so basically I'm just going to come in, maybe. I don't know if I have enough putty to get them off of here. I don't think I do. Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of bend that down. And so I'm basically just going to put one of those in the center of each of those flowers. Like so. And so we got one in each corner. Oh my gosh, come on, you can do it. Just like that. And then I'm also going to add it, I'm going to add 1 because I like to have an odd number, but I'm just going to add 1 to my label. All right. So that is card number 6. For those of you that missed class and needed the video, hopefully that was helpful. For those of you that you're not one of my subscribers, and so you weren't in the class, I hope I've given you some ideas. But there's card number 6. And like I said, I really wanted to use a lot of the stamping, and like I said, I love this, right? I was very pleased with the way that came out. All right, so let me bring in the cards that we did for 4, 5, and 6. Let me find what I just did with 4. Okay. Oh my heck, oh, here it is. There you go. So these are my alternates for 4, 5, and 6. For the March 2025 Paper Pumpkin Daisy Daydreams. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, if you don't subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, but you think you would like to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, like I said, you know, you get this box that is just full of, it's got the directions for how to make their idea. And then you have all these pieces and parts. And so everything that you need to make the cards are in there. You get the ink spot. The only thing you don't get, so the first time you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, you're going to get one of these blocks that look like this. And so you want to keep that. You don't want to throw that away. But I highly suggest you add blocks to your stash if you don't have them, because it's just helpful when you can put them, especially like I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stamps, and so it was nice having them on their own blocks ready to go. So there you go, guys. Hope that was helpful, and hope you guys are able to get your alternatives finished. For those of you that aren't in my club and don't subscribe through me, but you do have Paper Pumpkin, I hope this will inspire you to make some cards and see how much you can stretch that Paper Pumpkin box and how many cards that you can make. So I'm going to end with my information. So if anybody needs to get in touch with me, you can order through me there. You can email me, and you're either watching on YouTube or Facebook. So either way. All right. Thank you guys, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your Saturday. And I'll be